Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, first there was election spending. Now an investigation by this programme has uncovered evidence that the Conservatives may have breached election and privacy laws in this year's general election. Channel 4 News has discovered that the Conservatives used a secretive call centre employing up to 100 people a day to make repeated cold calls to voters in marginal seats. The callers bombarded undecided voters with Tory messages on Brexit and immigration, and on election day made calls promoting individual candidates. Paying people to canvass for specific political candidates is illegal. And tonight, the Information Complaints Commissioner has told us that they will be investigating, and if anyone has not followed the law, they will act. Here's Kieran Jenkins.
The loudest of cheers for the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
This was the campaign the Conservative Party wanted you to see. Theresa May touring target seats, sticking to the script.
It's a message about strong and stable leadership, strong and stable leadership, strong and stable leadership, strong and stable leadership.
But we received a tip-off about a hidden Tory campaign you were never supposed to see. From an unlikely place, concerns that laws protecting our privacy and our democracy were being broken. While others were focusing on Theresa May's travelling roadshow, we were looking here, to Neath in South Wales, and a secretive operation seemingly set up to help swing the election in the Conservatives' favour.
Oh, hello, good evening. Hello.
Welcome to the call centre being used by the Tory campaign.
Hello. We're just doing a quick 1-minute survey about the general election.
From an office on a high street in the valleys of southwest Wales, where jobs are scarce, wages low, and the Labour Party dominant. An army of young people are on the phones.
Who would you prefer as Prime Minister to lead those Brexit negotiations?
0 hours workers doing the Conservative Party's bidding.
Jeremy Corbyn said that he's not concerned about the numbers of people coming to live in the UK.
It's less than a month before polling day, and our undercover reporter has a job at Blue Telecoms.
Hi, I'm just calling on behalf of...
A whistleblower told us they'd been making potentially unlawful phone calls to voters. Blue Telecoms has a curious management culture. Some somewhat disgruntled staff,
I just googled Human Rights Act on Cookton.
Bottles of water.
Under the leadership of this man, Sasha Lopez, failed Conservative council candidate, winner of lucrative contracts from the Conservatives during election campaigns.
It doesn't make me proud to turn you on each other, but it is kind of fun as well.
Today, he's holding up a £50 note. He'd tell us later this was a joke, urging his young recruits to snitch on each other.
So you get this 50 quid. If you report somebody, we will listen into their calls. If you are right and they've been faking results, I will give you this 50 quid and it will come out of their wages.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
It seems the first rule of Blue Telecoms is you do not talk about Blue Telecoms.
Yeah.
By the way, I was going to ask you, what, I had a guy earlier and he was like, where are you phoning from, where are you phoning from?
Say Cardiff.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't mention Blue Telecoms.
No, 100%
Right.
No.
That's odd, because we're in fact in Neath.
Hello.
With the election looming, the call centre's dialing thousands of UK voters, claiming there's something called Axe Research.
I'm calling from Axe Research. I'd just like to ask you a few questions about the general election.
They say they're independent market researchers.
I'm just calling from an independent market research company. I want to ask a few questions about local and national issues, if that's all right.
As they gather information from voters in dozens of marginal seats.
Do you mind me asking whether you voted to remain or leave in the EU? You voted to leave, fantastic.
It's a legal requirement for call centres to be upfront about who they are. Our undercover reporter wants to know.
What is Axe? Is it?
Just name that we do these surveys.
All right.
I did a Google search, nothing comes up. But as far as anyone's concerned, yeah, we're legit.
All right.
Nothing comes up because Axe Research has no website, no phone number, and does not exist. We asked a top QC what the law says.
If you're going to process my data, I should know who you are and what you're going to do with my data. Those are fundamental tenets of this legislation. And obviously what that means is that if you've got a situation where the company that's calling you is concealing their true identity or is misleading the person receiving the call, then that's obviously a problem under the privacy legislation.
Is there any excuse for a political party to get this sort of thing wrong?
I don't think in the current climate a political party can justify getting the law wrong on this issue.
Sasha Lopez says Axe Research is a trading style of his group of companies and referred us to Conservative Party HQ. The Conservative Party wouldn't answer our questions about Axe Research, but they did admit that Blue Telecoms were working for them. But there are more questions and more potential illegality. You might recall, as the election neared, Theresa May said this.
If we lose just 6 seats, then the government loses its majority. And that means Jeremy Corbyn in number 10.
Hello.
Within hours, in Neath.
Hi, I'm just calling quickly on behalf of Theresa May and the Conservative Party.
The call centre started saying it too.
Meaning that it would just take 6 seats for Theresa May to lose her majority.
Now calling overtly on behalf of the Tories.
And lead to a hung parliament and a chance for Jeremy Corbyn becoming Prime Minister with the support of the SNP. So,
what you're about to hear could have severe consequences for the Conservative Party. 20 million UK landline numbers are registered with the Telephone Preference Service. These households have opted out of nuisance calls. It's illegal to call them to promote anything, including political parties.
Now that vast swathe of households are the forbidden fruit of election phone campaigns, an untapped pool of voters that by law are tantalisingly out of reach. With one exception, you can call them to conduct genuine market research.
We can reveal the Tory call centre was cold calling voters from among the millions of landlines which have expressly rejected nuisance calls. 87-year-old Mary was one of them.
Because you'd said no nuisance calls.
No nuisance calls. And when you're living alone and the phone rings, it does make you anxious.
So if this turns out to have been a call that was indeed sanctioned by the Conservative Party, what would you like to tell them as somebody who was on the receiving end of one of them?
I tell them what to do with it. Stick it where the monkey sticks his nuts.
We'll come back to Mary, but first the matter of what these calls intended to achieve. The day before the election, there's a visitor. It's Richard Minchell, director of the Welsh Conservatives. His appearance coincides with the call centre saying very different things to different types of voters.
Hello, good evening.
On the line, a voter who's opted out of nuisance calls, and when he says he's torn...
Could I just ask what are the chances of you voting for each of the following parties?
On the eve of the election, a special message for undecided voters.
It was reported in the Daily Mirror in September last year that Jeremy Corbyn said that he's not concerned about the numbers of people coming to live in the UK. And it was reported on Sky News on the 20th of April this year that Theresa May restated her pledge to reduce net migration. Does thinking about these reports in the media and the reports that you live in a marginal constituency that may determine who is Prime Minister for the Brexit negotiations, does that make you more likely to vote back Theresa May, or does it make you more likely to vote back Jeremy Corbyn?
And by the end of the call, just listen who he favours.
Theresa May, fantastic. Okay, well, look,
the Conservatives say they did commission lawful marketing calls. Blue Telecoms insists they did not. We showed this exchange to an expert in political campaigning.
Having seen this footage, where do you think this falls? Is it an election survey, or is it promoting the Conservative Party?
This is canvassing.
it's canvassing. This is, if it can't be research, all the questions are loaded. A lot of them are quite rhetorical in that sense of guiding you towards one answer. It's canvassing, it replicates the sorts of scripts I've seen used on doorsteps by parties for many years.
So you can identify techniques here which are designed to persuade people?
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
Blue Telecom says all the scripts were provided directly by the Conservative Party. How many voters may have been persuaded in an election that was in the balance, that is now a fundamental question. June 8th, polling day. With the Welsh Conservatives director still at his side, Sasha Lopez is confident of victory.
Country's turning blue, pal.
And the Tory call centre seems to have adopted a high-risk strategy.
I'm just calling on behalf of Ruth Davis.
I'm calling on behalf of Harvard Hughes.
Making calls for specific Conservative candidates in seats around Wales.
Now, it's illegal to pay someone to encourage people to vote for a particular candidate. The point is to enshrine in our laws the principle that elections can't be bought. So it was election day, was it, Mary?
It was election day, yes.
Mary in Caerphilly got a call.
The phone rang. I picked it up. I said, who's calling? And he said, this is the Conservative Party.
Conservative Party?
Yeah.
But something strange was happening. With non-Conservative voters like Mary, the call centre would soon hang up.
Definitely voting Conservative, fantastic. Now,
Conservative voters alone were reminded to vote.
Marino, every vote is going to count and time is running out. So what time do you think you'll head out to vote?
What are they trying to achieve here?
They're trying to get their own supporters out to vote. That's the usual job of a canvasser.
Except this time, it's a call centre and people are being paid.
Indeed.
There are constraints, legal constraints in the Representation of the People's Act around paying people to canvass effectively, to campaign.
Presumably this is something incredibly rare.
Well, I don't want to make any comments on how rare it is. It's something that is prohibited by law. It amounts to a criminal offence.
Those candidates were ultimately unsuccessful. But who knows what effect the overall campaign had, as tonight the Information Commissioner is asking the Conservative Party for answers. This former worker has no doubt about what he was asked to do.
The workers need money. Like all of them there, right? The first jobs, stay-at-home mothers, they all need money. And there's very little people who would look up and question. And it shocked me because despite my own political beliefs, what they were asking us to see was blatantly Tory propaganda.
Sasha Lopez and the Conservative Party are tonight at odds. He says Blue Telecoms did polling and research, but not canvassing and not marketing. The Conservatives say there were marketing calls. They can't both be right, and their claims they obeyed the law will now face severe scrutiny.
Kieran Jenkins with that special report.